Director of Veteran Services for the City of Somerville, and I've been with the city since April 2nd of last year. We perform a bunch of different services for veterans here in the city. Massachusetts state law requires every city and town to have an office like ours. We administer a joint state and local program for indigent veterans and their families called the Chapter 115 program. That's primarily what we do. We also serve as the Graves Registration Agency, keeping track of where all of Somerville's veterans are buried. We also provide counseling services to veterans, and we assist them in navigating through the Veterans Administration process, the federal Veterans Assistance process, helping them to file their claims, helping them to appeal adverse decisions, helping them to get the benefits that they've earned as a result of their military service. All of the services that we provide are at no cost to the veteran. This is a municipal office. It's a department that's run by the city, but we do perform some functions that are required by state law. So in a sense, we are acting as agents of the state, but we are primarily a local city municipal office. I came into this office after spending a year with the Army in Afghanistan with the 101st Airborne Division. While I was over there, I realized that I really enjoyed working with veterans. I really enjoyed doing legal-related matters that pertained to the military. And this opportunity just happened to come along at the right time. And so I jumped on it. I went into the military at the age of 47, very late in life. I had never performed any military service before. In fact, for many years I worked as a paramedic for the city of Boston. And frequently we went on calls to the New England Shelter for Homeless Veterans in downtown Boston on Court Street. And whenever we would take somebody from there to the hospital, invariably I would be asked, have you ever been in the military yourself? And I would always have to answer no. And I always did that with a little bit of embarrassment. I always felt that I had never done my part. I went to law school, and when I graduated from law school, I called around to all the various military services and inquired about joining as a reservist, and the answer was always no. Every single one of them said, no, we don't want you. You're 2 years over the maximum age limit of 35. This was in between the First and the Second Gulf War, and when the country isn't at war, recruiters have no trouble meeting their quotas because everybody wants to join up. 10 years later, when I still wasn't using my law degree for anything, my wife said, have you ever thought about going into the military? And I said, well, yeah, I tried that. They don't want me. They said I was too old. Now I'm 12 years too old. Now it's way too late. And she said, well, go ahead and give it a try anyway. And before you know it, I was in the Army. It was a fantastic experience. I think by going in when I did, doing it because I really truly wanted to serve, I think I had a benefit over a lot of the people, an advantage over a lot of the people that I was in Officer Basic with, because a lot of them felt like they had to be there. Everything that we did, I said, boy, this is great. I've always wanted to try doing this. So I had a fantastic time. You know, I think the physical aspect of it I actually found very easy. I had run marathons somewhat competitively for many years. I competed in some triathlons, so I was actually in very good shape, and that's, I think, the reason why they accepted me. The first time that I applied, they flat out turned me down. I received an envelope in the mail that said simply, we decline to accede the applicant at this time. That's all that they said. What they were really saying was, hey, this guy's too old. We don't want him. He's going to break. And so I talked with the Army officer who was serving as my recruiter, and he said, what we need to do is play up your athleticism. We need to convince them that you're not going to break. And so we did that, and the second time around they took me. And so I didn't have any difficulty at all with the rigors of the training. In fact, I loved it. I looked forward to it. You know, doing the obstacle courses and climbing over towers and going on long ruck marches and stuff like that. I had a fantastic time. I absolutely loved it. And I seemed to have a really good rapport with all of the other officers who were in my class because they did realize that I had some kind of life experience. There was no real competition between me and them. And so we got along absolutely fantastically well. The first thing that you have to realize is that under state law, every city and town is required to have an office like this one. And so we exist only to help veterans who are in Somerville. Everyone that we counsel, everyone that we file claims for, everyone that we provide Chapter 115 services to, these are all Somerville veterans and Somerville residents. So we exist only for the people of Somerville, only for the veterans of Somerville. We do get involved with some other Somerville-specific things, like you mentioned. Every year, we're responsible for putting on the Memorial Day Parade for the city, something that I never thought I would be doing. Earlier in life, if you had said, you're going to be running a parade, I would have thought you were crazy. But it's a great challenge because it is fairly complex. We had, I think it was 68 different participants between the marching bands and floats and different organizations, veterans groups, military organizations, and so forth. So it is pretty challenging, but the citizens of the city really seem to love it. They turn out in great numbers to see it, and so we're glad to do it for them. The Board of Aldermen and the Mayor were very generous this year in upping the amount of money that we can spend on the parade, and you get what you pay for. We spend a bit of money on the parade, and as a result, we put on a first-class presentation, I think. On top of that, we also work with the people in the Community Relations Department, and we put on the annual 4th of July event, which happens the Thursday before Independence Day. But that usually involves a military band of some kind, as well as lots of other more contemporary performers, with the fireworks show afterwards, of course, and everybody loves that. That's a great time for all. The older veterans that we see, the World War II vets and the Korean vets, let's face it, they are getting older, and so a lot of the problems that they have are related to the fact that they are getting older and they are getting sicker. And so a lot of what we do for them is to help them get squared away with necessary medical care, covering medical expenses, and so forth. The younger guys, we tend to be more involved with in terms of trying to help them find employment. They're out there looking for jobs. It's a very difficult economy. And even though there are many special programs available specifically for veterans, that's not always enough because there are an awful lot of people fighting over very few jobs. The older veterans are very interesting. That's probably my favorite part of this job is, when they come in, traditionally they've been very tight-lipped. People that came back from World War II, from Korea, they didn't talk a lot about their service because that simply wasn't the nature of people serving in the military back then. But they do open up to another veteran. And so we'll sit down here and in talking about what I can do for them, I'll just give them an opportunity and say, tell me a little bit about what you did. What branch of the service were you in? What did you do? Where did you serve? And invariably that leads to stories, which are absolutely fascinating, and I love to hear them. The biggest challenge that we've had in my time here has been reaching out to the younger guys. We have found that a lot of these people coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan simply go back to school or they go back to work and we never see them. And as a result, there were a lot of benefits open to them that they may not even know about. And because we don't have a chance to sit down and talk with them, we have no opportunity to show them all the things that they're entitled to. It's been quite a challenge reaching out to them because if you can't find the person, then it's kind of difficult to have a conversation. I tried making appearances at the various summer events here in Somerville, the various street festivals. That didn't really work. We didn't really get much of a result from that. I've just recently created I've been dabbling in social media. We've created a Facebook page for the first time for the department. And that's probably the single thing that I'm most proud of in the time that I've spent here so far. Because I think it really is a wealth of information. On that Facebook page, I put things like employment opportunities. I put information about new benefits, about news that affects veterans, and about pretty much anything that they need to know. I mean, if it's at all relevant to veterans, I'll put it up on the site. It's only just now beginning to take off. But we do have, because this is something that only the younger veterans are likely to use, we are beginning to see some of the younger veterans being captured on this. And so I think that's probably going to be the way of the future for us as far as communication goes. We are not the VA. Probably 9 out of 10 people who come to our office are under the mistaken impression that we are the Department of Veterans Affairs. That's a federal agency. We're a city government agency. We're not related to them in any way other than the fact that we can help you navigate through the VA process. But we don't actually work for the VA. We don't have a special hotline where we can call them directly or anything like that. We have to wait on hold just like everyone else does, and we have to submit paperwork the old-fashioned way in writing, the way that everybody else does too. That said, our offices are physically located in the City Hall Annex. We're about 3 blocks away from City Hall. We're on 50 Evergreen Avenue on the 2nd floor. You can call us at 617-625-6600, extension 4700, or you can email me directly, letter J Weaver, JWEAVER, at somervillema.gov. We're open Monday through Friday. We open at 8:30 in the morning every day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we close at 4:30. We stay open late on Thursday nights until about 7. And we close, like all the City Hall offices, early at about 12:30 on Friday.
Okay, so I grew up in Somerville, 1964. I'm 48 years old. Went to Somerville High, graduated in 1982, and continued on with college. Eventually graduated from the University of Lowell as an engineer. I joined the military, the Army Reserve, back in 1983 because basically I wanted to get some money for college and wanted to find out a little bit about how the military worked. And me and a friend actually picked auto mechanics because we both were interested in that. Kind of prior to joining, my friend backed out, and I decided I was still going to go forward, and I did that. And I'm never looked back and regretted one day of it. This May will be 30 years in the Army Reserve / Army National Guard. The National Guard is distinct in that they are owned by the governor and they call out to local emergencies, whereas the Army Reserve is more affiliated with the active duty and they have a worldwide mission. I'm a major in the Army Reserve now. I currently have 1 deployment to Afghanistan, 2 to Iraq, and I trained troops when I was down at Fort Dix, New Jersey, going overseas. So I've had a long experience, and I plan to go back into Africa and maybe Korea a little later in my career to finish that off when I retire. A lot of folks, my dad was in Korea in the war, and a lot of people will often have the old timers, they'll often complain my dad never talked about it or my family member never talked about it. And the reason is not because of any dangerous things they might have seen. It's more along the lines of average person can't relate to what it's like to be in the military, just like an average person can't relate to what it's like to be a firefighter. So the conversation is tough when you talk to a person who's never been in. So I find it's easier to talk to other veterans. I tied into the veteran services when I came back from Iraq. They were pushing it big time when we got back, and I thought it was a good idea to join the VFW, be involved with the veteran services, march in the local parades. And you find that the local folk society in general, they treat you very good, especially since Vietnam when things weren't treated so well for veterans. So I thought it was important to give back, and I thought it was very important to get involved with the veterans organizations, to support them and give a little bit back to the community, and as well as have them use us like you're doing now in promoting what it's like to be a veteran. And that's why essentially I got involved. I have to say I'm very happy with the Veterans Department right now. Jay Weaver has done an excellent job taking over. He's in the Army Reserve. I know him from there. Kathy's been involved for a long time, his assistant. And on national level, I think that the VA is giving me, free health care and pretty much will get it the rest of my life, which is a great thing. They've come a long way with their TRICARE, which is the insurance that they offer veterans when they do retire for themselves and their family member at a very low rate for the public health care. So that's another good thing that it's offered. And I would say that in general, most of the veterans organizations, I get tons of magazines, tons of information on what the lobby and what lobbyists are doing for our behalf. I think moving forward, I'd love to see it continue in that direction, and I'm very happy with all the services that are available. Part of where I see the military going is in the future is getting smaller as it is locally. We see that in the news every day that they're actually trying to trim the force and get rid of a lot of people, such as myself, who've been in a long time. A lot of veterans like myself are working for the DOD, and they tend to work for government agencies because they understand the dynamics of the government very well. I got involved with the State Department when I was in Afghanistan as well as in Iraq, and got to meet a lot of people who work overseas for years and years. And a lot of good American citizens are doing great work overseas that the public has no knowledge of. When I get parents who come to me, oftentimes what they say is, "Hey Jim, what should my son or daughter join? Is it Army, the Reserves, the Air Force, the National Guard?" And I tell them it depends on the personality of the kid. If the kid's an outgoing kid and he's likes the outdoors and kind of likes to rough it a little bit, the Army and the Marine Corps have a different mission than the Air Force and the Navy. The Army and the Marine Corps are mostly what we call ground pounders, so they do a lot of bivouacking outside, whereas the Navy and the Air Force are more technical related, and it's a different mission. So it depends on the kid and his personality. Look, my dad was in Korea in the war, and a lot of people will often have the old timers, they'll often complain my dad never talked about it, or my family member never talked about it. And the reason is not because of any dangerous things they might have seen. It's more along the lines of average person can't relate to what it's like to be in the military, just like an average person can't relate to what it's like to be a firefighter. So the conversation is tough when you talk to a person who's never been in. So I find it's easier to talk to other veterans. I tied into the veteran services when I came back from Iraq. They were pushing it big time when we got back, and I thought it was a good idea to join the VFW, be involved with the veteran services, march in the local parades. And you find that the local folk society in general, they treat you very good, especially since Vietnam when things weren't treated so well for veterans. So I thought it was important to give back, and I thought it was very important to get involved with the veterans organizations, to support them and give a little bit back to the community, and as well as have them use us like you're doing now in promoting what it's like to be a veteran. I have to say I'm very happy with the Veterans Department right now. Jay Weaver's done an excellent job taking over. He's in the Army Reserve. I know him from there. Kathy's been involved for a long time, his assistant. And on national level, I think that the VA is giving me, free health care and pretty much will get it the rest of my life, which is a great thing. They've come a long way with their TRICARE, which is the insurance that they offer veterans when they do retire for themselves and their family member at a very low rate for the public health care. So that's another good thing that it's offered. And I would say that in general, most of the veterans organizations, I get tons of magazines, tons of information on what the lobby and what lobbyists are doing for our behalf. I think moving forward, I'd love to see it continue in that direction, and I'm very happy with all the services that are available.
My name is Ralph D'Amato. I live on Hawthorne Street in Somerville. I was in World War II. Fortunately, I was lucky that I missed D-Day invasion by 10 days, but I did land in Normandy and all hedgerow fighting, and I landed all the way up to the Rhine River before I got wounded with artillery shrapnel. Then I became a radio man for the captain because the radio man got hit and I had to take his job over. So that's how I got my staff sergeant rank. But I had quite an experience. I was in the Battle of the Bulge, and that was kind of a tough place there because we had the coldest and the snowiest winter that Belgium ever had. And today I see these kids in Iraq and Afghanistan, and to them, the war isn't like a war like we had because we had a front line. We knew who our enemy were. Anybody in front of us was our enemy. But these kids today, they don't know. They don't have a front line. They can be a kid with bomb. They could be terrorist act. They can be all kinds of things, and so they really don't know. And as far as veterans, I keep striving at these kids that come out. I says, please join a veterans organization, because if you don't join a veterans organization, you're not going to have the benefits you're entitled to. That's how you learn it, through your local veteran man in the city or town that you live in, besides your service officer that belongs to a veterans organization, such as the VFW, Disabled American Veterans, the American Legion. All these organizations, they all have a service representative which will help you. A lot of these kids today don't realize that they can get benefits that they're entitled to, but they don't go after it because they don't know. They don't belong to these veteran posts. So all I say is, I wish you fellows, kids that come out of Iraq and the Vietnam, Afghanistan war, to join a veterans organization, because it's for your benefit.
Hello, my name is Leo Mingace, a Vietnam veteran, Marine veteran. When we come home from Vietnam, we were not treated the way a lot of veterans today are treated. Welcome home veterans. That was not for us. It was for us, but it wasn't told to us to welcome home. And I'm glad that now they're doing it, because we, us veterans, have done a lot to keep America free. And they need to join these veterans groups, because that's what they're there for. Like the gentleman just before me said, that's what they're there for, to help you there. That you deserve. There's a lot of veterans benefits out there. Veterans deserve. Veterans in Somerville are great. So anytime you have a chance to see somebody from the Somerville Veterans Group, go and listen to them, because they do have a lot to offer you. I was adopted from Italy, from parents from in Watertown, and so when I joined the Marine Corps, I did it only because I wanted to give something back, do something for my country. United States of America is my second home. But I came here when I was young, and so it's more or less like it was my first home. And so I'm very grateful of being here in the United States, a veteran. And I'm glad that I was able to serve my country. And that's so, I'm glad that I was able to give something back